Hi guys, this is William and welcome to this next video where we'll be discussing character animation. So when we talk about character animation, we talk about animations that play when the character walks, when the character talks, or when the character interacts with the game world. So where do we add in these animations, right? It would make sense that we would add it in under character. So I'm going to click there. And then here I have my character selected. So I'm going to click on it to select it. Now, as soon as I do, you'll see that the outfit area has become active. And the outfit area, here we've got one entry. We've got our outfits, and then here we have our first unnamed entry. And this is the default outfit that gets created when we create characters. Now, outfits are simply different groups of animations that play that represent our character. So we could have a default outfit, and we could have an outfit if our character is wearing a disguise, and then switch between those outfits using our action parts. So I've got my unnamed outfit here, and I'm going to rename it. So I'm going to select it, press F2, and then type default and press enter. So let's take a look at the options we have. I'm going to click on this plus icon to unnest it. And now we've got a bunch of different sets of animation that we can work with. We have walk animations, we have standing animations, talk animations, and so on. Now, obviously, walk animations, these are all walking animations related to our character walking around the scene. Standing, this is our idle animations. Talking, this is our talk animation. Random animations, these are animations that play automatically when the character is standing still for a certain amount of time. And we have character animations then, used for things that we manually trigger. So let's say a character pickup animation that plays. We also have smoothing turn animations that help with the smoothing when a character turns from one direction to another. But we won't be dealing with that in this video. So we're going to look at walk animations and idle animations and talk animations. So here I have different directions. And what we have here now already is we have one static image loaded into each of these lines, these items. Now each of these is a direction that our character is facing. Here our character is facing right. This is our character facing backwards. This is our character facing left, and so on. Now what we have here is we have one frame. We don't have a walking cycle. Okay, and I can see this because I have got one frame here. This is your keyframe area. If you had multiple frames loaded in here, it would have multiple of these single entries up to here. So right now we just have one single frame. Now let's quickly talk about just the format that images need to be. When we talk about animations, we talk about this: a sequence of images numbered sequentially. There you can see the numbering that I chose, going from the start of the image to the end of the cycle, and with each image representing a step in that animation cycle. So here we can see the 8th keyframe, the legs are split quite widely. And then here it loops back to the first one again. So just make sure that your frames are all the same size, that it is named sequentially so that Visionaire can interpret it properly when it imports it into Visionaire. So that's the first thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on left, okay? And we're going to import our images. Now previously what we did is we wanted to have a representation of the character when he was walking left. So how this works is I'm going to play my scene. Right now, our character is using the standing front image. Okay? Right. Because you can see under our standing, this is what's playing. Right, back, left, front. Right, back, left, front. Now, if I click here, it is playing the left walk animation. But there is no walk animation. That is why our character seems like it's floating. Okay. Now it's stopped, and now it's playing the left animation here. So all of this is just to explain to you that when the character is idle, this is played. When he's walking, these screens, these directions are played. Right now we don't see a difference because what we have here is the same as what we have there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this. We're going to remove the one keyframe. Remember, previously when we wanted to add this image, we clicked there, add, and we added one image in. But now we're going to remove that by clicking here. Because we don't want to add just one image, we want to add multiple. And that's where the load frame sequencer comes in. So I'm going to click there, ensure it's selected, so it's pink, and press on the delete frame. And now our image has disappeared. That's fine. We're left with a blank canvas, not a problem. But now I want to quickly show you, if you now play your scene, take a look at what happens. Okay. So now it is showing the right screen right here. Now I'm going to click walk to left, and my character disappeared. And why is that? It's because there's no image here. And when it stopped, we still have an image there. So keep this in mind. When your character just disappears off screen, it's usually because there is no image loaded in this area. So that's something to take note of. So we have our blank area now. Now we want to load in a frame sequence. And I do this by clicking on this button right here, load frame sequence. So I will go into character, walking, left. And I will only select the first image. Visionaire will then import the rest. Next it will ask us for the alpha channel. So what is what determines the transparency? So make sure that your images have got an alpha channel, so only your character actually appears on screen and nothing of the background. So I'm going to click OK, and my sequence has been loaded in. Now a few differences between this and what we saw previously. First is we see a bunch of keyframes here. You see there. Now if I click on a keyframe, I can see where I am in the animation. The next thing to take note of is that I can preview the animation quite easily by clicking on this play animation here. And we can see my character is walking. Okay. Now let's see if we can affect the speed of the animation. We have an additional button here called properties. If I click on that button, I'm taken to this animation's properties. And the one we want to look at is the pauses in seconds. So here, if I put in, let's say 50, okay, and I go back to my main area and I play, you can see it's quite a bit slower. If I do 10 here and I play, it's a bit faster. So let's put it on 25. So that's the first thing you need to take note of. The next is the direction of animation. And this determines the direction of the animation. So we never want to have our direction be mismatched to the image that we've loaded in. Okay? Which means that my character image is facing this way. So I can never set this to that way because this is going to cause a mismatch. Visionaire doesn't know. Visionaire just assumes that you imported the correct facing image. So always make sure that your direction of animation is correctly set, as we have here. So now we have our left animation, and we want to do the same for our right. Here we just have one image, so we want to load in a bunch. So I'm going to remove this. Now normally we would click on load frame sequencer, we would go to our direct character and walking, but we don't have a right facing set of animations. Because we're going to be a bit cleverer with this, because we already have a left animation. So really all we want to do is we want to mirror this to the right. So to do that, just click on the properties and here set it to mirror what? Mirror left. And there we go. Our animation is mirrored. So now we have a left and a right walking animation. Now if I run this, let's see it in action. Walk, 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 walk. Perfect. So now let's talk about harmonizing images. In a perfect world, your images would always be the same size. Your characters will always be perfect aligned between all these different sets of animation. That doesn't always happen. And I can show this to you. Here we have an image and look at that size, 359 by 500 pixels. If I go to my front, I can see that here we've got 446. So we've got more width than we had in our previous one. Now imagine this. Our character is facing forward and then he walks and suddenly this image pops up. So we've got extra space on the side. So the image will jump slightly to the side, offset, because the sizes aren't the same, so the images don't line up perfectly. Now that is a very long way of saying that we need to harmonize our images. We need to line them up properly. If the image size is different or the character is placed in a slightly different spot on the exported images. Now we're going to work with our front, right? This is our front idle animation. We can see our standing one. So we want whatever we load in the walking animations to match up perfectly. So I'm going to remove that, the front walk, and I'm going to click on a load frame sequencer, go to my character, walking, front, and push that in. Now, our front here on the walk and our front on the standing is not lined up. And I can see this when I play my game. I'm going to walk to the back. And notice now when I walk forward how it jumps to the side. Okay, and the reason why, once again, it's now showing this one, but when it was walking, it was showing this image. Okay, so we need to line these up. Now there are two ways to do this. On the front animation, the walking animation, you can line this up manually by clicking on Set Animation Center and just lining this up. Click there, there we go, and line it up. But it might be that you don't get it perfect. And the way we do this is we use the harmonization tool right here, the little eye icon. I'm going to click on that. Now what this allows you to do is it shows you the image that's misaligned. Okay. And then it gives you another image in your animations that you have loaded in as a reference to align the two. So you're harmonizing it. Okay. So to do that, the first step is usually you set the visibility of the one that's misaligned. So I'm going to just reduce it. And then here I'm going to adjust it to something else. But we're going to see a little bit of a problem here. But for now, we'll just click on that. Now you can see here, we have all our listed animations. But the name convention here is a bit confusing because we have right, right, back, back, left, and so on. So it's duplicated. And the reason is because the naming we've got here is not specific enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this window and I'm just going to rename each of these. I'm going to select the direction and I'm going to choose, I'm going to type in walk right and press enter. And I'm going to do the same here. Standing right standing back, standing left, and standing front. So now I'm going to click on my front because this is the one that's misaligned. Remember, the image is a bit bigger. I'm going to click on the harmonization tool and I'm going to reduce the visibility and I'm going to say adjust to what? Let's say adjust to standing front. And I can see my animations are a bit misaligned. So now I can align them properly. And the way I do that is I click on the Set Animation Center and I literally just drag on the screen to align them properly. And when I'm happy they are aligned, I click OK. So now my front, even if the images differ in size, doesn't matter. It's aligned. I mean, the width that was here on the right, on the left, doesn't matter anymore. So now let's run our game and see. Perfect. So the images are aligned and everything plays as it's supposed to. I think the last thing we're quickly going to do is just talk about the talk animation. So let's add a talk animation. I'm going to click in there and I'm going to click on the plus sign. And then here I have my first animation that's added. I'm going to rename this default talk. And then I'm going to load in images. Okay, so I'm going to click on the load frame sequence, character, and then talking. And I'm going to select the first image. When I click OK, it's going to load it in. And now if I play it, I can see this is my talking animation. We can maybe make it a bit faster by just clicking on properties, and let's make it 15, and let's see. Yeah, it's a bit better. Now, once again, we need to just harmonize our animation. So I want to make sure that the standing front and my default is perfectly aligned. So to do that, I'm going to click on the harmonize button. I'm going to adjust it to standing front. And you can see that they are quite misaligned. So I'm going to click on my animation center. And I'm also just going to reduce the visibility of the misaligned talking animation and just select it and line it up. And then click OK. Now, if I play my scene, walking, let's see. Yeah, it looks good. And now if we use our character talks as well. So yeah, it's perfect. Guys, also with the talk animation, keep in mind that you can add in multiple directions to talk. Just make sure that your direction is set. Right now, we only have one talk animation, so this will always play. And that's why the direction of animation didn't need to be set. But I'm going to set this to front. Now, if I wanted to add like a left and a right and a back talk animation, I could do that. But in this instance, I'm not going to do that. So that's the crux of the animations. We've got our different sets here, and Visionaire switches between these as you play the game, which means your characters always need to be properly aligned, i.e. their animation centers need to be in the same spot for each animation so that you don't get jerkiness. You don't get a character walking and then suddenly it's popping off to the side and then popping back. That's very important here. Things like the talking animation, you don't need to manually put set it to be the talking one. If it's in this category, then it's fine. It'll play when the character talks. Right, guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave some comments, and I'll see you in the next one.